Hello, and welcome back to our new teacher cohort podcast, which is focused on our book study, Harry Wong, The First Days of School, How to Be an Effective Teacher. On this episode, we are going to be focusing on routines and procedure as a recap for our Unit C, chapters 10 through 18, okay? Our outcomes are going to be looking at classroom routines, procedures, the benefits of having good routines and procedures, and then some takeaways. Unit C review. So in Unit C, we looked at chapters 10, which was a big takeaway with classroom management. We looked at chapter 11, which was how to get your classroom ready. And we also looked at chapter 15, which was procedures. And with procedures, you have your routines, okay? And then we also looked at chapter 15, how to have an effective discipline plan. So with chapter 10, classroom management. A well-managed classroom doesn't mean a quiet classroom. It means a learning-focused classroom. So we want to hear discussions. We want to hear students paired and talking with one another. What we don't want to see is dead time. We don't want to see misbehaving. We don't want to see students with enough time to, aggravate their neighbor, right? When you're thinking about your lessons that you're teaching, you want to make sure you have that good pace with your core instruction. So your math, reading lessons, your social science lessons need to have a good pace. There shouldn't be any dead time. And the way to plan having good pacing in those lessons is to plan your lessons. Go through your lessons, look at what's going to be covered on your test, so backwards plan. Look at what's going to be covered, look at the standards, and then go through your teacher's manual and teach what the standard. Teach the standard, not the program. So make sure you have that good pace so that way behaviors are down. Students are deeply engaged in their work, okay? When your students are at their seats, their work is meaningful. They know what to expect of them. Are you expressing what you expect? Are there clear expectations? Are they written on the board? Are you reinforcing those clear expectations daily and with every subject? Time isn't wasted on chaos and confusion. Should you have to redirect students? Yes, we're all going to have to redirect students. But there shouldn't be any chaos or confusion because you have clear expectations and you've already stated those. The atmosphere is task-oriented but relaxed. So the students have high expectations. They know what's expected of them, but they're not afraid. They're not scared, okay? Also, you have a walking loop. You shouldn't be sitting at your seat while the students are working. You should be actively walking around, monitoring the classroom, working the classroom. So your students and your desk should be set up to where you can see everyone when you're in that walking loop. This will cut down on a lot of students playing in their desk. This will cut down on a lot of students aggravating each other. This will cut down on a lot of the discipline and misbehaviors that we're seeing in class. A good place to look for walking loops within the book is chapter 13, page 121. It shows a good example on how to rearrange your classroom if it's not arranged to where you can have a good walking loop so that you can monitor your students and give real-time feedback on the things that are happening while they're doing their work. So you want to be able to conference with students really quickly while they're doing their work. And you want to be able to go ahead and, mark on papers if they're making mistakes so that they know what to do on the next problem or the next question, okay? The key idea here is simple but powerful. Classroom management is the simple, most important factor in student learning. Research shows it outweighs even curriculum and demographics. So if you want student achievement, It starts with how you run your classroom. Structure plus consistency equals success. If you would like to go back and review some of the classroom management tips that Harry Wong offers in his book, some good pages to visit would be page 94, page 98, and on page 96 is a quick little self-grading rubric that you can look at if you would like to do that. Moving on to chapter 11, planning. How to get your classroom ready. Now, no, this is not the very first day of school. It's not the first week of school, but do you still need to plan to get your classroom ready? Yes. Do you need to plan in order to have effective lessons? Yes. Stop and ask yourself, how are you planning? Are you taking those planning times that administration has given us? The hour planning, the 30-minute planning, are you taking those times to go and run your copies? Are you taking those planning times to look through your teacher's edition and plan the next week's standards effectively? Those are the times that you do that. Maximize your planning time. Go ahead and run the copies for the next week. Look through your teacher's editions at what's coming up next week. The more effective as a planner you are, the better your students are going to be. They're going to know that you're ready for the week, and they're going to know that you're expecting excellence from them because you've planned excellence. Wong reminds us that teachers who are ready maximize learning and minimize misbehavior. Let me read that one more time. Teachers who are ready maximize learning and minimize misbehavior. This means your classroom setup isn't just for decoration, it's instructional design. Remember, fluff isn't just enough. Fluff isn't enough. The things that are in your classroom should be meaningful. If you have anchor charts, they shouldn't just be for decoration. You should be referring to those anchor charts. Everything in your room should be intentional, and it should be for the students' learning purposes. Can things be cute? Absolutely. But do they have to be? No. As long as it's meaningful. So just make sure you do a little self-assessment. Look around your room. Make sure things are organized. They're put up. Okay? Make sure your desks are clean. That's simple. Make sure that every day before you leave, you're wiping down those desks. We're cutting down germs. Students learn in a clean environment. Students learn in an organized environment. You need to know where everything is. You need to know where things are placed. Materials should be easy to find. Furniture should be arranged for learning, not just cuteness. Procedures should be built into space. Think pencil station, paper trays, traffic flow. Staying organized, staying clean, planning ahead is going to maximize your year as a teacher. You're going to be able to do a lot of things in your classroom if you can find things, if you're planning ahead. Okay? Some key some key rereads that I looked up as I was going through and reviewing this unit and these chapters. Page 102 through 105 are some good rereads, as well as page 108 in chapter 11. For chapter 15, we are talking about how procedures improve the opportunity to learn and how to teach students to follow classroom procedures. So this is where everything ties together. Procedures equal more learning time. Those are just facts. If you have good procedures, you're going to have routines. Good procedures, good routines equal classroom management. Routines and procedures go hand in hand. You need to think about what your routines are. What are your procedures that are already in place? Are they already a routine for students? If not, it's not too late to start practicing those things. Routines are something that are automatic after they've been practiced and rehearsed. The student should come in and know exactly what to do. That's a routine to the procedure. What are your procedures? With consistent routines and procedures, classrooms are organized and predictable, calm and focused, built on student responsibility. Procedures are how things get done. Without them, you're running after kids all year long. Wong says, just don't tell procedures, teach, rehearse, and reinforce them. Think like a coach. Run the play until it becomes muscle memory. That's that routine. Okay? Procedures plus routines. On page 144 and 148, those are some good rereads about improving your classroom procedures. And some examples of some good classroom procedures would be how to enter the classroom. What do you want your kids to do? Asking for help. How do you want your students to ask for help? Will it be a nonverbal cue? Will they have to, turn over, a stick or a piece of paper on their desk? What is the procedure for asking for help or asking a question? Simply raise your hand, give, a cue, a finger cue. I've seen that before. Turning in papers. Where do you want your papers to go? How are they turning them in? Do you have a special tray for students to get up and turn their papers in? Or after you've done your walking loop and you've done your real-time corrections and conferences with students, are they just sliding their papers inside their folders? Group work transitions. How are they transitioning in centers or stations? How are they transitioning from their seats to the carpet? Are they transitioning from the carpets to their seats? How are they transitioning from their seats to lining up for PE or lunch? How do they walk around your classroom? All of these things are procedures that should be practiced, 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 and practiced. When procedures become routine, the classroom can practically run itself. Instead of consistent discipline, procedures create a permanent behavior change. Students know what to do, they own their learning, and teachers get to actually teach. Why routines and procedures, good procedures, lends themselves to good classroom management. The benefits of having good classroom procedures and routines is that the students know what's expected of them. It lessens the behaviors in class, and you get to teach. You don't have to just harp on behavior issues throughout the day. Are you going to have to redirect? Yes, you are going to have to redirect all day sometimes. Like we've said in grade level, our clientele has changed at LPS. We're going to have to change our way of thinking as adults. Our classroom management is going to have to change. Our routines and procedures are going to have to change depending on the kind of class that you have. Are you going to have to redirect some more than others? Yes. But is that a discipline problem? No. No, it's not. It's just redirection. Quickly redirect and get back to the lesson. Redirect, get back to the lesson. Redirect, get back to the lesson. Are you going to be tired? Yes. Yes, you are. You're going to be tired. But after a while, those redirections will turn into a procedure. Those procedures are going to turn into a routine, and the students are going to know exactly what to do. All right. Takeaways. We're going to pull all of this together. Okay? Why spend so much time up front on routines and procedures? One, it maximizes learning time. It reduces misbehaviors. They teach responsibility. They create a safe and predictable environment, what students need. And most importantly, they give you your sanity back. You're not going home frustrated and exhausted. You're going to go home tired, but you're not going to go home exhausted. But it allows you to have a fun-filled day with your students, right? Because this is a ministry. This is why we're here. We're here to love on kids. We're here to teach them. And you are good at teaching. Each and every one of you are. But before students can learn, they have to have good procedures and good routines in place so that your classroom management can be effective. Remember Wong's wisdom. The effective teacher spends the first week teaching procedures. If you did not do that, don't worry. Start now. It is not too late. Revamp your classroom. Start over. Okay? If you go ahead and start now, if you're having some issues with procedures and routines and classroom management, if you go ahead, start over now, it is not too late. The students can learn it. But if you don't go ahead and start now, it will be hard, much harder for the rest of the year. The ineffective teacher spends the whole year chasing behavior. And you don't want to be that ineffective teacher. You don't want to chase behaviors. You want the behaviors to be at bay. Wrap up September. I want you to think. Do your students have good classroom procedures and routines in place right now? Students have been with you for several weeks. Routines and procedures are already in place. But the key question is, are they working the way you want them to? If they're not, revamp them. It's never too late to reteach, reinforce, and tweak. Students actually thrive on when you take the time to reset and clarify. It tells them you care enough to make learning smooth, consistent, and fair. Remember, effective teachers don't just survive the year, they adjust, refine, and keep the focus on learning. So take a moment to reflect. Which classroom procedures are running strong? Which ones need a little tightening up? And how can you reinforce them so that October runs smoother than September? Your routines are the backbone of your classroom. Strong, consistent procedures don't just save your sanity. They give students the gift of more time to learn. So keep teaching, keep tweaking, and keep building that safe, structured environment where learning can flourish. You got this, and if you need help, I am here to help you, okay? Just email, text, or call me, and I don't mind coming up to help, all right? All right, guys, ready? Break. Have a good rest of the month, guys.